So a little over 4 years ago, a friend of ours, Jason, actually found this old Volkswagen bus in a back alley in Idaho Falls. He tried for a couple years to buy it, couldn't buy it, and then it popped up on the internet. Somebody actually posted a photo of it along with the address, and that's why it's tarped here. I went over shortly after that happened, tarped the bus just to try to keep it out of the view of any other prospective buyers, because obviously we were trying to make a purchase here. So Jason tried for, like I say, probably 2 years, maybe a little more. Finally, he came to me one day and he said, "I'm done." He's like, "I've tried everything. I'm turning it over to you." So at that point, I started making contact with the lady any way I could. She didn't have a phone, so there was no way to call her. I sent her postcards, dropped notes off at the house. And I even went down to her work a couple of times. She works at a convenience store, graveyard shift. And so I went down to her work at like 1 o'clock in the morning to talk to her. And I was getting nowhere. So for 4 years and 2 months from the time that Jason first saw it, I was driving home one day and I saw the owner's car at a local bar. So I stopped into the bar. She was actually the only one there sitting at the bar having a drink. And I sat down and just spoke with her for probably 2.5 hours. And after that, after we got talking for a while, she finally agreed to make a deal on the bus with me. And we were able to go over there, untarped it, got it all loaded up. And it ended up being a 1958 palm green, sand green standard. And let's take a closer look at it. All right, guys, so here it is. After all these years, we finally managed to put a deal together on this 1958 bus. I'm going to pop the doors open here and kind of give you a little bit better look at it. Let's do a quick walk around first and show you what we're dealing with. The nose here has got some Bondo in it. And you can see that the emblem is missing and the holes have been filled in. So when they repainted this, they did a little work there. They actually welded in the holes and filled those up. The roof on it is really clean. And this has only got one respray on it. And it's pretty thin. I think there's a possibility we might be able to hit this with some oven cleaner and strip this thing down and take a look at the original paint. Obviously, there's going to be some areas like down here on the nose, also on these rockers. There's a fair amount of rust that would have to be patched in, but there's a lot of guys putting a lot of work into trying to preserve original paint and do more of a preservation than a restoration. And everybody's got an opinion on that as to whether it's good or bad. I definitely respect the guys that do it. The guys that take them down to original paint, polish them out, fade in the patch panels. I mean, it's pretty cool to see an old bus still sporting most of its original paint. But as you can see, the bumpers are missing. This would have been a pressed bumper bus. It's got kind of a goofy tube bumper on the front now. The rear bumper is missing. In a second here, I'll pop the doors open and we'll take a closer look at what the interior looks like. It's pretty nasty, really. Look at this dog leg here. Little rusty. Rocker down here is a little rusty as well. I haven't got a real good look at the floors yet because, to be honest with you, this thing is like a rat's nest inside. It's pretty bad. Anyways, I'll swing around here. One thing I did find inside was the crank apron. If you look right here, that's actually a keyhole for a hand crank. This bus would have been a 36 horse. There's a little nut on the lower pulley. It's called, I believe, a dog nut is what they call that. It's a crank nut. And you could actually insert a handle here and you could crank start these things. V8 is also 1 year only for the deck lid. It's got this flat deck lid area. that in 57 and earlier, it would have had a brake light here. Not a third brake light, that was the brake light. As far as taillights go, these are incorrect. They've been cut out, and these taillights were added. Let's pop this back hatch open and take a look. It's kind of had some foam added up in the headliner area. The cool thing is, though, is the seats are all here, especially that seat. Middle seats on these were removable, and these things are so utilitarian. I mean, you remove that middle seat and you've got a huge area to haul things. Unfortunately, a lot of times people would remove the middle seat, they'd end up stashed in a garage or in an attic or something, and then if the bus was sold, the seat a lot of times didn't make it back in there before it was sold. That's why the majority of the time when you find one of these old buses, especially a field find like this, usually that middle seat's long gone. Scroll around here. Kind of rusty down below. One thing that's kind of cool, let's check out these wheels on this thing. 3 of the 4 wheels are actually the original paint, which the original paint color on this bus was palm green and sand green, and it's missing one of the original wheels. This left rear corner has got the wrong wheel on it. So I was digging through my stash, see if by chance I had one, and I actually rounded up this guy right here, which is my only palm green sand green wheel. It's got a little bit of damage on the lip here, but the worst part is these center holes. I don't know if this is even repairable, but obviously at some point it was ran with loose lug nuts and damaged the wheel there. So I do have one original paint wheel, one extra to complete the set, but it's pretty hammered. I don't know if it's going to be usable or not. So original door panels are there, original upholstery on the seats, but they are nasty. Up front here, haven't cleaned this out yet. This is exactly the way we got it, cobwebs and all. See, the dash is uncut. Pretty much all there. This thing needs a serious cleaning. Probably going to remove most of this upholstery, and then basically just come in and give it a really good pressure washing. Alright, moving around to the passenger side here, just another shot of this crusty seat. Again, you can see this thing's had some mice in it. Plan is to just pull all this upholstery out as much as you can, and then just pressure wash this thing from top to bottom. Pull all that foam out. So there she is. There's the middle seat. Kind of the cherry on top there. As I mentioned, these things you rarely find them when you pull these old buses out. The grab handle's missing off of the flipper here, but it's all there, and it's actually just barely even held in. It's missing a few of the clamps that hold it in here. In fact, it only has 2 holding it on. So I'm kind of surprised that seat's even still there. All the glass on it is appears to be original. Old Sigla AS1. This window over here is kind of Kind of got some really cool delamination in it. I don't know if that'll show up or not in the camera, but just some really cool kind of snowflake designs, and where it's starting to delaminate. So that's it, guys. As I mentioned, let me show you one other thing on here. It's kind of cool. Here's in the door jamb, kind of some of the original color there. And as you can see, that's just this paint that's on here is pretty thin. So what I was going to say is, as I mentioned before, probably going to try to hit this thing with a little bit of oven cleaner. See if we can't get that paint to come off. I've actually never stripped paint that way. I know some guys who have recently and had pretty good luck with it. And so I know Jason was wanting to get after it with some oven cleaner, see if we could get some of this paint off and get it down to that original palm green, sand green, which is just one of the cooler colors, I think, that Volkswagen did. These hinges definitely need some lubrication. But that's it. That's the 1958. 4 years and 2 months in the making on this rescue, and it's pretty cool to finally see this thing, out and just back into circulation, I guess. So that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you supporting the Volkswear YouTube channel, and we will catch you guys later.